This morning, border closed. New South Wales to enforce a shutdown from midnight tomorrow night. Victorians are banned. We're live with these breaking developments. As Victoria's COVID outbreak worsens, 127 new cases and another death as health authorities scramble to stop the spread.
This is 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good morning to breaking news. In a stunning development, it's just been announced that the New South Wales-Victoria border will close from midnight tomorrow night as the coronavirus outbreak in Victoria continues to worsen. Live to reporter Alex Hart in Sydney. Alex, good morning to you. What more can you tell us?
Well, good morning, Anne. Victoria's Premier Daniel Andrews made this announcement a short time ago, and shortly we're going to hear from the New South Wales Premier and also the New South Wales Police Commissioner here to outline exactly how this is going to work. The decision to close the border between New South Wales and Victoria follows crisis talks this morning between the Prime Minister and the two premiers as the situation in Victoria continues to get worse. We learnt this morning another 127 new coronavirus cases and tragically another death in Victoria on top of almost 200 new cases over the weekend. There has been significant and growing pressure on the New South Wales government here to implement this border closure over the past few days, but also political considerations for the Premier here to factor in as well. She's certainly been worried about being painted as being hypocritical given how stridently she's criticised Queensland's Premier for keeping the border shut to the north, but in the end, health concerns had to be put first. This will be an incredibly complex logistical operation to police some 50-plus border crossings between New South Wales and Victoria, and towns like Albury-Wodonga, which straddle the border, where people cross over daily to go to work, to go to school, to access health services. It's my understanding the Defence Force will be called in to assist, and also there will be a permit system set up so that people can still travel across the border if they need to. And the New South Wales Premier will tell us more about that shortly. Let's hear first, though, from the Victorian Premier, Daniel Andrews.
It'll be enforced, that closure will be enforced on the New South Wales side so as not to be a drain on resources that are very much focused on fighting the virus right now across our state. This is one of those precautionary measures. It's one of those things that I think will help us in broader terms contain the spread of the virus.
Now, it's not clear yet what the penalties will be for people who breach this restriction and travel from Victoria into New South Wales. Currently, there's a fine of up to $11,000 and up to 6 months jail for people who travel from those hotspots in Melbourne into New South Wales, and it's expected that will be expanded. And
Alex Hart with that breaking news. Thank you very much, Alex. And we're standing by to hear from New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian on the border closure. She's expected to speak at midday. We'll bring you that update live. The crisis in Victoria is rapidly worsening, with cases spiking again overnight and another confirmed death. There's growing anger across the state, including from residents of a housing estate which has been placed under 24-hour lockdown. Let's go to Paul Dowsley at Flemington in Melbourne. Good morning, Paul. Have they been given any indication how long they'll be in lockdown?
And at this stage, it is just 5 days. That would be till Thursday afternoon. But residents have been given a document that says it'll be 14 days. And that is an option for the state government that will become clear over the next couple of days. But it's not helped by statistics we've just learned from the state government. We've learned that the cases linked to these towers, these public housing towers in North Melbourne and Flemington, have doubled to 53. But it gets worse. We've also just learned that yesterday's increase in Victoria was 127. That is our worst ever day in this pandemic. Here at the housing blocks, there are 500 police surrounding the 3,000 residents inside, stopping them from leaving. And inside there is growing frustration about the variety and the quality of food being delivered by the state government. For instance, some is past the use-by date. Residents have put signs in their windows saying help and calling it a prison. They say they feel like they're caged animals. But bit by bit, each resident is being tested. 400 have been done so far. The results will determine if this hard lockdown will be extended past that 5 days.
It is very challenging to stand up something as quickly as this, but it's based on the best public health advice It is the only option that the government had to do that important work of containing the spread.
The Premier has also just revealed that Victoria has another death. That brings to 21 the number, Anne, and that was a man in his 90s who died in hospital yesterday.
Paul Dowsley reporting live from Melbourne. Thank you, Paul. Airline staff are being brought in to help out with Melbourne's troubled quarantine hotels program. It's been revealed ground staff, cabin crew, baggage handlers and pilots who are currently stood down are helping to manage crowds, distribute food and coordinate fresh air breaks for return travellers. It's part of a major overhaul of the running of quarantine hotels under the watch of Corrections Victoria. Prison guards are now taking the lead on security operations. Victoria's outbreak has prompted calls for the rest of the country to hold off easing any more restrictions. The Australian Medical Association wants other states to pause the lifting of lockdown measures until the outbreak is under control.
We'll be able to continue to try to do the best by the economy and also keep protecting the community, because we don't want to go backwards.
A new economic report out today has warned the outbreak in Victoria will stall the country's recovery. The Deloitte report forecasts Australia's economic growth will contract by 3% this year. For more on that, I'm joined by Network Finance Editor Gemma Acton. Good morning, Gemma.
Hi, Anne.
A lot of uncertainty surrounding the situation in Victoria. How's the share market responded this morning?
Well, Anne, we were braced for a poor start to the week given the spiking cases over the weekend, not just in Victoria, of course, but also in the US. And yes, while shares have indeed fallen this morning, it certainly could have been worse. The market is down by around 17 points, but still safely above that key 6,000 points, the psychological level it regained last Thursday for the first time in a month. Once again, big travel names are struggling. Qantas, toll rate operator Transurban and corporate travel management among the weakest performers. Cinema operator Event has also seen its share price drop this morning. This after warning it is putting its dividend payment on hold, cutting costs and freezing wages to cope with the pandemic. Anne.
Gemma Acton reporting. Thank you, Gemma. 3 men who died when their boat crashed into rocks in Sydney are believed to have not been wearing life jackets. Police have identified the men as being aged in their 50s and 60s who were residents in the city's south. Samantha Brett reports.
And good morning. Well, authorities are trying this morning to determine exactly what went so horribly wrong here at La Perouse. It was just after lunchtime yesterday when plenty of people had come out here to enjoy the sunshine. Witnesses say they saw 3 men, 2 cousins and a mate out on quite a small boat near to rocks. Suddenly, out of nowhere, witnesses say there was a huge wave that threw those men into the water. The rescue chopper was very quickly on the scene, winching those men to safety. Paramedics tried everything they could to revive those men. Unfortunately, they could not be saved.
It's a tragedy. It's hard on the paramedics that have a technical and a professional job to do, but also that we're still people and we feel for people as well.
We understand those 3 men were not wearing life jackets. A report is now being prepared for the coroner.
The Morrison government is pledging to turbocharge the recycling industry, committing to hundreds of millions of dollars to reduce Australia's waste problem. Political reporter Taylor Aiken is live in Canberra. Good morning, Taylor. This will drive new jobs.
Morning, Anne. Yes, up to 10,000 new jobs are expected to be generated through the $190 million Recycling Modernisation Fund. It will allow Australia to increase its recycling rates and turn waste into useful products instead of just shipping it offshore. The government estimates over 10 million tonnes of waste will be diverted from landfill, with new measures to be put in place to track national waste targets.
What that means from a very household level is that trust in what you put in your recycling bin actually being recycled in a way that adds value, adds jobs.
And Taylor, any word on an official result from the Eden Monaro by-election?
Not yet, Anne. It could be up to 2 weeks before an official winner is declared. Despite less than 750 votes separating the two major parties, Labor's Kristy McBain has claimed victory over the Liberals' Fiona Kotvojs. And although Labor's primary vote fell in the by-election, preferences from the Conservative Shooters and Fishers party made up the difference. The Liberals are yet to concede, though. They're waiting on the rest of the postal votes to be counted. Anne.
Taylor Aiken reporting. Thank you very much, Taylor. The weekly average of new American coronavirus cases has reached a record high of 48,000 recorded in a single day. Warnings around the virus didn't stop thousands gathering to celebrate the 4th of July together. Paul Caddick reports.
Good morning, Anne. There are concerns about the potential of a further surge in new COVID cases here. Despite calls for social distancing and mask wearing, we've seen there have been crowds gathering with little of either for the 4th of July holiday weekend. Hundreds of people seen at big party events. Authorities in many places had cancelled events and closed beaches to try and avoid this. With questions today also about President Donald Trump's Independence Day speech to the nation about coronavirus.
We'll likely have a therapeutic and/or vaccine solution long before the end of the year.
A timetable that wasn't backed up by the head of the Food and Drug Administration, nor the president's claim that 99% of COVID cases were, quote, totally harmless.
I'm not going to get into who's right and who's wrong. Those data show us that this is a serious problem.
Some state and city leaders saying mixed messages and the lack of enforceable national rules are making the job of trying to stop the spread tougher.
We're only as strong as our weakest link right now. And we went through hell. We cannot afford to go through hell again.
As President Trump is about to hit the campaign trail again with a rally planned for New Hampshire next Saturday. Several members of his team tested positive for coronavirus after the last one in Oklahoma. His campaign says at this one, masks will be provided but won't be required. Anne.
Thank you, Paul. Coming up in 7 News, close call, the moment an American police officer is incredibly lucky as a lightning bolt hits. And health workers receive a royal thank you as the Cambridges return to work post-lockdown.
Peter Falconio shot by a gunman who attempted to abduct his girlfriend, Joanne Lee.
They found the killer.
He was the murderer.
Or did they? The murder you thought was solved.
34 inconsistencies.
It's what you don't know that will shock the world.
No one doubts me.
I couldn't believe this had never seen the light of day.
The event that will make world headlines.
We are going to be very unpopular.
Murder in the Outback. Sunday on 7.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
If you've been injured at work or on the road and your income has been affected, you need advice now. Contact Shine Lawyers to access compensation through your superannuation.
I can't afford to be off work.
Shine Lawyers. Let's right wrong.
Because sometimes it's more than just growing pains. Bupa offers an online program to help you manage your mental well-being. Bupa, because life happens. Call today.
Meet the Roots family, a family with a serious root problem.
Roots?
And a magic solution.
Let me show you something.
Magic Retouch by L'Oreal Paris. 3 seconds to flawless roots. 3, 2, 1.
Done.
Magic Retouch. Love it or your money back.
It's only natural to want what's best for your toddler. 100% grass-fed milk is better by nature. We know that nature provides the best, which is why 100% grass-fed milk is free from palm oil, GMO and growth hormones. 100% grass-fed milk encourages growth and development, whilst gentle on toddler's tummy and easy to digest. So you have the peace of mind knowing you've made the natural choice. 100% grass-fed milk, made in New Zealand, better by nature.
Last minute needs for your pet? No problem. Get it to your door today with Petbarn's same-day delivery. And with a price match promise, there's everything you need and more at Petbarn.
Deb,
Coming for a coffee?
Oh, sorry, Trish. We've got to go.
Go your own way in the 7-seat Isuzu MU-X. From $46,990 drive away.
Popular social media app TikTok is under scrutiny over national security concerns. The Chinese-owned video sharing platform is used by more than 1.6 million Australians, and there are fears their data could be exploited. There are now plans to haul the company before a Senate committee on foreign interference. The Defence Force has already banned the app on any defence-issued device. An American police officer has had a frighteningly close encounter with a bolt of lightning. The dash camera of his patrol car captured the moment it hit just metres from where he was standing. The officer was helping a driver whose load had fallen off during severe weather. He wasn't injured. Kanye West has announced on social media he'll run as a US presidential candidate 4 months ahead of the 2020 election. The rap star tweeted to his 29.5 million followers he wants to realise the promise of America by trusting God. It ended with the hashtag 2020 vision. He's been endorsed by billionaire Elon Musk and his wife, Kim Kardashian West. Britons have abandoned social distancing as pubs finally reopened after 3 months of lockdown. Crowds of people packed into London's famous Soho district, ignoring health rules to keep apart. Some venues were forced to close early because of crowding, but there were no significant disturbances in the capital. Prince Charles has joined the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to thank UK medical staff who've been dealing with coronavirus on the front line. William and Kate met doctors and nurses in person to mark the anniversary of Britain's National Health Service. Sarah Greenoch reports.
Well, this was William and Kate's first engagement as a couple post-lockdown, an afternoon tea party at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kings Lynn, marking 72 years since the founding of Britain's National Health Service. 72 isn't usually considered a milestone birthday, but given what doctors, nurses, all healthcare workers have been through these past few months, it was certainly an occasion to acknowledge and to celebrate. Staff at the hospital where William and Kate visited have treated 450 coronavirus patients, but across the country, more than 100,000 people have required specialist hospital treatment for COVID-19. Fortunately, Prince Charles wasn't one of them. He managed to fight off the virus by himself at home, but he too shared his appreciation for the NHS through a video message.
To all who have given so much during this present danger, I just want to say that it is you who have been our shield. It is your hands that have held us up. It is your gentleness that has made us great.
The future king pointed out that he was born just 4 months after the NHS started, and one of its basic founding principles was to provide healthcare for everyone based on need rather than someone's ability to pay. And given what we've been through so far in 2020 with this pandemic, that principle is now more relevant than ever.
Next in 7 News Sport with Jackie Felgate, including a bitter injury blow for South Sydney, chaos and controversy in the Formula One, and an emotional farewell for loved ones as Victorian AFL players head north to keep the season alive.
From cupboards that clean your clothes to rotating TVs, the future is here. How it'll transform your home on Sunrise.
At HCF, Australia's largest not-for-profit health fund, we've always put our members first, knowing the importance of care when it counts. And it's never counted more than now. That's why we're giving eligible members access to our holistic mental wellbeing program and the flexibility to choose what works for you. It's not just about guiding you to the right care at the right time, but getting you the mental health support you need quicker and easier than before. Because uncertain times call for uncommon care.
What you've got there? Toilet paper? Nah, just dinner stuff. Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that during these unprecedented times. Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low. Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi.
Good. Different.
Here's Lisa. She got no assistance lifting this heavy bag of cement and sprang a leak. But Lisa has Poise. New Poise Thin and Discreet Extra Pads are 45% thinner than Poise Extra Pads with the same protection. It takes Poise.
Nurofen Advanced liquid capsules have a thin seam, which enables fast release into the body. To sort pain out fast, use Nurofen Advanced liquid capsules. Unleash the speed of liquid.
Take the fuss out of buying new doors with Doors Plus. We offer a free on-site measure and quote, and we can install. And now get the Guardian 2-in-1, an external and screen door in one. The Doors Plus sale is now on. Hurry into your nearest showroom. Doors Plus.
No fuss.
Smart Aussies are future-proofing their homes and cutting their energy bills with Solar Heart. Now you can join them with $1,500 off our solar hot water and solar power packages, plus 60 months interest-free. Get smart. Get Solar Heart.
Deb, coming for a coffee?
Oh, sorry, Trish. We've got to go.
Go your own way in the 7-seat Isuzu MU-X from $46,990 drive away.
Good morning. The final AFL clubs will fly out of Victoria today as players set up camp at interstate hubs. We'll go live now to reporter Andrew McCormack at Melbourne Airport. Macca, how long can players expect to be away from home?
Good morning, Jack. They'll be away for 30 days. After that time, they'll return to Melbourne, where the AFL will reassess this whole hub situation. But you have to say, given the coronavirus numbers in Victoria, they're expecting that the hubs will continue for weeks after that. And just behind me, you can see the plane about to head to the Gold Coast. Essendon and North Melbourne both have just finished boarding that plane. They'll join 5 teams up on the Gold Coast. The Tigers just arriving now. They'll head on a plane with the Western Bulldogs shortly. Carlton landed on the Gold Coast last night. Another team, St Kilda, up in Noosa, while 4 more teams in New South Wales. And players, they are allowed to bring their families. We've seen emotional scenes of players saying, some making the decision to bring their young families with them or leave them behind. But 2 dual premiership stars from Richmond have made the tough decision to stay with their families. Bashar Hooley, whose partner has just had their first son, while Shane Edwards, his partner, is due in the coming days. So they've opted out of playing footy at least. They've chosen family over footy. This is Richmond captain Trent Cotchin on some criticism of that decision.
On their own business, I reckon. Yeah, simple as that. Everyone's situation is different. No one should need to explain themselves, and that's just the reality of, at the end of the day, footy is a game, and I know that it's our job, but there's also other things that are pretty important to people.
Extraordinary scenes, Jack. We've seen it so far across 2020. We'll have more on 7 News at 4 o'clock and 6 tonight.
OK, thank you very much, Andrew. In breaking NRL news, Manly prop Aidan Fennell-Blake faces a minimum 2-week ban for his foul-mouthed tirade directed at referee Grant Atkins at the end of their loss to the Knights.
Go! What's going on? You've been sent off. Call me an effing then, so he can go.
Fennell-Blake issued a statement saying, "I should not have let my emotions get the better of me. I'm very sorry for the comments I made. I let myself and my club down." The Sea Eagles enforcer exploded when his side was controversially denied a penalty moments before full time. Wayne Bennett says South Sydney centre Braden Burns is likely to miss the rest of the season after dislocating his kneecap in their 26-10 win over the Bulldogs. The Bunnies were cruising towards victory when Burns went down late in the second half.
He's a 10 out of 10 bloke. He tries his hardest for you. It's great to have around the club, and so it is hard, but it's the game we play and it's a risk you take.
Bulldogs second rower Adam Elliott will have a scan today after dislocating his shoulder. And the long-awaited return of F1 delivered carnage on the track and controversy offered in Austria. 6 drivers refused to kneel in a show of solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And it wasn't long before the sparks and wheels were flying. 9 cars failed to finish, including Dan Ricciardo, who had mechanical issues. Lewis Hamilton's stoush with Alex Albon cost him a time penalty and a podium finish.
round. Norris goes the long way round on Perez. And again, no, with Lewis Hamilton.
Valtteri Bottas won from Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. And it seems like the AFL players got out of Melbourne just in time, and the season does continue.
Thanks a lot, Jack. And the New South Wales Premier will give an update on the Victorian border closure in a few minutes' time. Stay with us. We'll bring you that media conference live. Also, next in 7's Morning News, the national weather forecast with David Brown.
Sydney's fresh food crisis. Now they're almost giving it away. 5-star meals from the menus of Sydney's master chefs, feeding a family for $2.50 a meal, halving your weekly shopping bill and ready to eat. Why it's flying off the shelves on 7 News, 6 o'clock.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt excellence. By the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
Aldi's tender porterhouse steak is so tender, you can cut it with a butter knife. Made of butter. Now only $19.99 per kilo at Aldi. Good. Different.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
I love shopping online for my pets at Pet Circle. I can easily find thousands of products, all with the best price guarantee. These guys are like family and I want to take care of them. But finding their favourite brands is hard and expensive. Then I discovered petcircle.com.au. With Pet Circle, I save on food, treats and litter, all with contactless, free delivery to my door. There's no reason to shop anywhere else. And it seems a lot of people agree. Shop online at petcircle.com.au.
Glasses on.
It's not that bright.
Oswaldo's mind-blowing $50 million tech fund is here. Will your numbers bring you a truckload of cash this Tuesday?
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
We're working on something bigger than we've ever done before. It's bigger than this, and this, and even this. We're creating over 200,000 jobs by investing in Australia. That'll help get our super and the economy growing again. And if you're with one of these, you're a big part of it.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
This weather report brought to you by Bridgestone Select for tyres and car servicing.
Let's get a check of the weather forecast now with 7 News meteorologist David Brown. Good morning, Brownie. How's it looking today?
Yes, good morning and happy Monday to you. Lots of sunshine on the eastern seaboard today, but look, it is a different story in the west. We're now going to pick up an active front that's driving scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through southern parts of WA. Yes, this wet and windy weather will continue for at least another 24 hours. Let's go to the weather wall now. In fact, we're going to fly into Brisbane. Look at that. It's a beautiful day. Forecast top 22 degrees. The harbour city too. Again, turning it on. Clear blue skies. Forecast maximum around 18 degrees. At the moment, though, it feels like 10 in the wind. For Melbourne, mainly fine. Look, the odd shower or two is likely in the eastern suburbs. Cold today, top around 14 degrees. And as we pop into Adelaide, it's also a cold day. Difference being, though, of course, clear skies and around 15 degrees. We can see that cold front now that's ripping across southern parts of WA at the moment. Some storm activity associated with that as well. High pressure is essentially dominating most of the southeast corner of the nation, although a cold front will bring some showers to Tassie as it moves through over the next 24 hours. This front has peaked and it is expected to slip away to the south. So for the capitals tomorrow, Adelaide, clear skies, 14 degrees. Melbourne, 14, maybe just a clearing shower or two. But for Sydney, might see a shower. Forecast top somewhere around 18 degrees, 17 and showers for Perth. That's the latest weather. More details, 4 o'clock.
All right, Brownie, thank you very much. We're standing by for New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian to give us an update on the border closure. She's expected to speak any minute now. While we wait, I'm joined by Chief Correspondent Chris Reason outside the New South Wales Parliament. Good morning to you, Chris. Now, the Premier has resisted closing the borders for some time. This is a surprising development this morning.
A stunning move from the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian. Good morning to you. And yeah, one met with certain shock and surprise from her political affiliates here in Parliament House. As you say, we're waiting for her to walk out now to this 9th floor area. The crowd of cameras behind me ready to hear her announcement, confirming what the Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews announced at 10:45 this morning, that the border with New South Wales and Victoria would be closed, and the first time that's being done in 101 years. And of course, the last time was because of Spanish flu then. It's sparked from the results overnight from Victoria, some 127 new cases of coronavirus. That's their biggest single leap and since March 28. Now, here comes the Premier now. Let's take a listen to what she has to say about this issue today.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. I can confirm that following the receipt of health advice this morning from Dr. Chant and following conversations with both the Victorian Premier and the Prime Minister of Australia, Mr Morrison, that New South Wales and Victoria will be shutting down their borders from midnight tomorrow night. So today and tomorrow is the last time in which any Victorians will be allowed across the border unless they have a special permit or some exemption. We have done this based on health advice, and especially given the fact that when our nation had those higher number of cases back in February and March, the vast majority of those cases were from overseas travellers or their direct contacts. What is happening in Victoria is very different, which is why we've had to take this necessary step. We wouldn't have taken this step unless we absolutely had to. And in essence, it also takes pressure off Victorian resources because our police and our health officials are able to do their jobs on this side of the border and allow the Victorian officials, whether it's their health officials or their police, to focus on getting a control of the virus. I appreciate that the Victorian Premier has already spoken to the media today, and he would have outlined the fact the community spread is increasing throughout Melbourne. And we are also concerned, based on the health advice I received this morning, that there's no guarantee that some of people in regional Victoria may have not been seeded, what they call seeding, or we don't have any confirmation that nobody in regional Victoria is immune from the virus at this stage. Please know this isn't a decision we take lightly, but during the pandemic I've always said New South Wales will have a no regrets policy. And I thank both the Prime Minister and Mr Andrews for allowing us to move forward with this decision. And I also stress to the other states, now that New South Wales has taken this decision, and given where we are, there's really no excuse for any other state apart from Victoria to have any border closures with New South Wales. And I urge all the other states of Australia, in our national interest, to think about that. Given this move by the New South Wales government, we now anticipate that the rest of the nation will be able to deal with each other directly without any hard border closures. I will now ask the Health Minister to say a few words. Dr Chant will then give an update today which confirms again no community transmission in New South Wales, which is pleasing, but we are forever vigilant and forever mindful that what's going through Victoria can very much happen in New South Wales. And I also want to confirm and thank the New South Wales Police Force. Commissioner Fuller and I and relevant authorities have been in contact for a number of days now in anticipation that this could be occurring today. And I want to thank him for being so ready, because as you know, there are around 55 border crossings between New South Wales and Victoria. It's a mammoth task. And the Commissioner will outline the action the police have already undertaken, and also consultation we've had with our federal authorities and the Victorian authorities as well. Minister Hazzard.
Thank you, Premier. Well, obviously, for quite some time now, we've been struggling to manage the expectation of whether or not the communities in Melbourne and around Melbourne would continue to have transmission. That has been concerning, as the New South Wales Health Minister, as has been said by the Premier. We were concerned that if the transmission rates continued in Victoria, that could have some negative impacts here in New South Wales. We have been considering this now for quite some time, and the conversations have been many as to how we could approach this. Obviously, trying to strike the balance between the health issues here for our residents, but also the economy. This morning at 8:05 a.m, Dr. Chant conveyed to the government her team's view, her view, that we now had to take further steps to safeguard New South Wales. We've already taken in the last few days measures to stop any Victorians coming from hotspot areas. Our concern, as the Premier said, is that that seems to be spreading through the city of Melbourne, and we do have concerns that it may in fact spread beyond Melbourne. Obviously we're hoping it won't, but we can't afford that risk here in New South Wales. So the decision has been taken that the borders will shut. Can I say the borders shutting should send a very clear message to all New South Wales residents right now. If you're thinking of going to Victoria in the next 24 or 48 hours, the strong suggestion is do not go. And to Victorians who might be thinking, if you're coming from areas outside the designated hotspots at the moment, our advice to you is don't come, because there will be some requirements around self-isolation. I'll ask Dr. Chant to expand on that. Dr. Chant.
Thank you, Minister. I'll just give you an update on the cases that we've had 10 new cases of COVID diagnosed in New South Wales in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night, bringing the total number of cases to 3,240. There were a total of 11,555 tests were notified in the reporting period, and New South Wales has carried out over 950,000 COVID tests. There's currently 69 COVID cases being treated by New South Wales Health and 1 in intensive care, and this person does not require a ventilator. In relation to the current settings, we are advising that anyone returning from a COVID hotspot area is required to self-isolate, and self-isolation really means staying at home, minimising your contact with anyone else, and it doesn't mean going to work, engaging in any other social activities outside the house, and also not permitting people into the house. We think this is a prudent and precautionate approach, but based on the fact that we have seen increasing cases extending outside the hotspot areas, and recognising that there is often a lag between when cases are recognised and diagnosed, we needed to get ahead of the potential spread to safeguard the seeding of New South Wales. My key message to all members of the community is, regardless of where you've been, please keep presenting for testing. Please present with even the mildest symptoms for testing. Early detection and diagnosis of cases in the community is going to be a key for us managing and responding to COVID in the year ahead. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks, Premier. New South Wales Police is still the combat agency for COVID-19, and in that we've been conducting a lot of operational modelling around potential outcomes, and one of those was the closure of the New South Wales-Victorian border. We know there are 4 primary road crossings, 33 bridges, 2 waterway crossings and multiple smaller roads. So the task is not lost on me in terms of the enormity of the logistics in this operation alone. There are 11 local government areas, 5 police districts that will all have to pull together to make sure this operation is a success. I've been in contact with the Department of Defence this morning, and we will seek a fresh request for defence assistance with the border operation. We will also in time be relying on other emergency services. But the reality is, in the first 72 hours from midnight Tuesday this week, It will be difficult, not impossible, but difficult to make that crossing. There will be delays whilst we work through who are essential workers. We have learnt lessons from Queensland and South Australia. Services New South Wales by tomorrow will have an online application for an exemption. We will take a sensible but pragmatic approach to those coming into New South Wales to ensure that we protect the people of New South Wales. Thank you.
Questions?
Premier, you previously labelled border closures crazy, saying that we're all one country and don't understand why these borders are closed. Do you feel a little bit silly?
Not at all. When we made those statements, or I made those statements, the vast majority of cases that New South Wales and other states were experiencing were from overseas travellers or the direct contacts. What is happening now in Victoria is very different. What is happening now in Victoria is the overwhelming majority, I think in fact all of the cases that the Premier Andrews announced today are from community transmission. This is unprecedented in Australia. That's why the decision of the New South Wales government is unprecedented. We've not seen anything like this. In fact, when New South Wales had the record number of cases a day in March in Australia, again, the vast majority of our cases were either overseas travellers or the direct contacts. Because the Victorian situation is so different, it's actually a new phenomenon in Australia. And that's why, in consultation with the PM and Premier Andrews, New South Wales is taking this decision, which in fact is welcomed by Victoria because it releases resources from Victoria. It allows us to monitor the border. And I just wanted to add one point the Police Commissioner made, is that we've already been in contact with a number of border communities to explain to them that whilst the next 48 hours, next 72 hours will be difficult in terms of not really letting anyone across the border, we appreciate that for communities like Wodonga, for freight going in and out of Eden and other places, there will be permits available, exemptions available, and Service New South Wales will be able to do that online and make it easy as possible for people who live in those communities. But I do want to stress what is occurring in Victoria has not yet occurred anywhere else in Australia. It's a new part of the pandemic, and as such it requires a new type of response. But again, I say to all the other states around Australia, use this as an opportunity to now take off your borders with New South Wales, because in terms of jobs and economic activity, whilst all of us need to support Victoria during this difficult time, and New South Wales, along with many other states, will continue to provide our support, whether it's through contact tracing, whether it's through doing thousands of daily tests and also having health officials down there. We will support them in every way we can, but we also have an obligation to make sure we don't create any further job losses in the rest of the nation, and we support our economy in the rest of the nation by having free and open borders with the rest of the nation.
And that's where we'll leave the New South Wales Premier. To recap, the New South Wales-Victoria border will close as of midnight tomorrow night. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day on all the developments. Our next bulletin is at 4 p.m. I'm Ann Sanders. Thanks for your company. Have a good day.